Guys, this is so exciting. Over the last couple months, I've tested out some of my content, both as regular LinkedIn posts, as well as through the LinkedIn newsletter, which I can't wait to show you. And my LinkedIn newsletter got 3 times the views for the same exact content. You see here the total views as a regular post and as part of the newsletter. Okay, so what is this LinkedIn newsletter? And I think there are lots of confusing explanations out there, but I think I can make this really simple with an analogy because I'm all about making social media marketing simple. Okay, so think about your own website. And let's say your website has a blog. And every time you write an original long form article, you add the article to your blog. And of course, if someone visits your blog, they'll see all of your articles with the most recent one at the top. Okay, so now replace the word website with LinkedIn and the word blog with newsletter. The only difference is that on LinkedIn, there isn't just a single newsletter. Lots of us on LinkedIn can have our own newsletter. You get a newsletter. You get a newsletter. Everybody gets a newsletter. So when you create your own bloggy type of article, you can add it to your own LinkedIn newsletter. And when people visit your newsletter, they'll see the most recent article at the top. So why would a newsletter outperform regular posts? I mean, even the word newsletter is like, bleh. No one wakes up in the morning and says, oh, what a glorious morning to read a newsletter. Here's why the newsletter outperforms. It's the way the newsletter is distributed. Think about a regular post on LinkedIn. You know, the types of posts we're used to putting out there or the kind of posts we're used to seeing. So you put a regular post out there and maybe about 5% of your followers or connections will get that post in their newsfeed. And maybe LinkedIn will send it to more newsfeeds if that post has shown that it gets good engagement and is deemed worthy of being delivered to more newsfeeds. Honestly, I find that very stressful. But none of this matters with the LinkedIn newsletter. None of it. There's no algorithm overlord to deal with here. You write your article, you put it through the LinkedIn newsletter, and LinkedIn will make sure that 100% of your subscribers, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to get subscribers, 100% of your subscribers find out about this new content that you created. And they notify your subscribers in multiple ways every single time you publish. For instance, today, the day I'm filming, I published a new article for my newsletter, and because I'm subscribed to my own newsletter, I can see what everything looks like on the other side. And not only did LinkedIn put it in the notifications, and not only did LinkedIn put it in the newsfeed, but LinkedIn also sent me an email to my work email to let me know about the content that I just created. And I was like, wow, I should read that. So imagine the possibilities with your own content. And obviously you can always create new articles, but you may have a whole bunch of old content out there that you can repurpose for the newsletter too. Now keep in mind that these articles you're creating should really be bloggy in nature. In other words, you're sharing something that's original, i.e. you created it yourself. The whole purpose of this is to show your own expertise. And it's educational. Blog articles teach people either a new skill or a new way of thinking. And remember, when you're consistently delivering that type of value, people are much more likely to think of you versus your competitors when they need your product or service. And the article can be straight text, or if you want to dress it up with extra graphics and video, you can do that too. My articles typically have a small amount of text followed by a video. That's how I do things. Now I'm just about to show you how to create the newsletter, but let me first answer some frequently asked questions.
Are there criteria for having a newsletter?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes, there are criteria, but they're teeny tiny and pretty much everyone can meet them. First, your personal profile needs to be in creator mode. And I've actually created an entire video about creator mode and why I switched to it even before I ever started a newsletter. And I'll include a link at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, if you want, just go to the resources section of your profile, just scroll down and you'll see it, and then click creator mode on. You'll see mine is already on. And then watch my video to discover all the magic behind it. The other criteria, criterion? Criteria sounds more natural, but I think it is criterion. Anyway, the other requirement for having a LinkedIn newsletter is that you need to have posted something in the last 3 months. And it could be the tiniest normal little post that goes on the newsfeed. It doesn't have to be a full-blown article. LinkedIn just wants to make sure that you're alive and semi-active.
Does the newsletter come from your personal profile or your company page?
At the time of this recording, LinkedIn newsletters can only be through a personal profile, but word on the street is that company pages will eventually have this capability sometime in our lifetime. But if you're the primary face of your company and you're using your personal brand to promote your company brand, and really that's the strength of LinkedIn to begin with, then really this is all a non-issue. It's going to make sense for a lot of people that the newsletter comes from the personal profile because we're all showcasing our own expertise.
Can you export your list of newsletter subscribers to use outside of LinkedIn?
No, you can't.
Can you have more than one newsletter on LinkedIn?
For now, you can just have one. Just like on your website, you probably just have one blog. Okay, so let's create this newsletter. And first I'm gonna get a drink of water. I'm gonna need water for this. And I'm gonna show you on my husband Steven's LinkedIn account because he doesn't have a newsletter yet. I hope he doesn't mind. Oh, and Steven, if you're watching this, I had to switch you to creator mode so I could do this video. So you're gonna log on to LinkedIn and you automatically go to your homepage, and that's where you wanna be. Now at the top of your page, you'll see where you would normally write a post, but instead of writing a post, click on write article. Then choose yourself, since again, the newsletter has to be attached to you in your personal profile. Now here on this next screen, this is where you can write all your articles. And you'll see just like a regular blog article on a website, you can write your headline up here, you can include a catchy image at the top here, and down here is where you can put the body of your article. And at any time in your article, if you want, you'll have the chance to add other media like images, videos, slides, you name it. Now at any time, you could just publish an article just as is without attaching it to a newsletter, without being in creator mode. But really, as far as I can see, and I've looked at this in different ways, it only makes sense to attach this to a newsletter so more people see the content that you just created. In fact, LinkedIn assumes that once you have your newsletter, you're gonna wanna attach all of your articles to it anyway. So let me just show you quickly on my account, since I already have a newsletter. When you write an article, it will default to publishing to your newsletter unless you tell LinkedIn otherwise. Okay, so back to Steven, and let me give you some strategies, some tips as we create this newsletter. So up here, you're gonna click on create a newsletter. That part is obvious. Add the name of your newsletter. Now my husband is in a really niche industry. It's thin layer chromatography. So we're gonna call this newsletter Thin Layer Chromatography Tips. And with your newsletter name, if you have to choose between being clever or being clear, be clear. I think I heard that from Judy Fox, so I just wanna give her a shout out. People need to know immediately what your newsletter is all about. And sometimes if you try to be clever, people have to think about it for a moment, and it creates a little confusion and people are less likely to subscribe. Now choose how often you want to publish, and don't sweat this part. It's not like, oh my God, am I making a lifetime commitment? What happens if I don't meet the schedule? Just pick what you think it's going to be, and this helps set expectations so people will have a better idea if they should subscribe or not. And I'll put this one as bi-weekly. And here you can add a brief description that'll hopefully entice people even more to sign up for your newsletter. And again, keep it clear. Now here you add an image, and I'm gonna include my husband's company logo. Now, if you are pretty much your own brand, you could put your headshot instead of a company logo because people tend to gravitate towards people's faces more than logos. And maybe I should take my own advice with my own newsletter. And at the bottom, you'll see it says that your connections and followers will be invited to subscribe to your newsletter once you publish the first edition of your newsletter. And when LinkedIn says the first edition of your newsletter, all they're saying is the first time you add an article to your newsletter and you attach the article to the newsletter, which will automatically be attached to it anyway, when you do that, everyone will be notified. So let me show you how your connections and followers will be invited. This is an email that I got on my work email from LinkedIn when one of my clients started her own newsletter. So you should get a lot of subscriptions this way. Another little quick thing you can do to encourage subscriptions is put your newsletter in the featured section of your LinkedIn profile, and you'll see it here, it's on mine. Now I have about 4,400 followers, and about 1,200 of them are subscribers to the newsletter. So I was able to build a list of subscribers really quickly, a lot faster than in a traditional email list. So if you really want to showcase your content on LinkedIn, your next step is to understand creator mode. So check out this video in the top right corner. I explain the pros and cons of creator mode and why I ultimately switched to it. Thanks so much, and see you in the next video.